The rain poured down in relentless sheets, turning the road into a treacherous river of mud and water. John squinted through the windshield, the wipers barely able to keep up with the deluge. The storm had come out of nowhere, transforming his peaceful drive into a nerve-wracking ordeal. He was miles away from the nearest town, the dark countryside stretching endlessly on either side. As he rounded a bend, his headlights caught the figure of a woman standing by the roadside, drenched and shivering. She was waving frantically, her clothes plastered to her body by the rain. John's heart skipped a beat. She looked desperate. He slowed down and pulled over, rolling down the window. "Do you need help?" he called out over the roar of the storm. "Please," she replied, her voice trembling. "My car broke down, and I've been walking for hours." Without a second thought, John unlocked the door. "Get in. I'll take you to the nearest gas station." She climbed in, her hands shaking as she fastened the seatbelt. John could see the relief in her eyes. "Thank you so much," she said. "I'm Emma." "I'm John," he replied, giving her a reassuring smile. "Don't worry, we'll get you somewhere safe." They drove in silence for a few miles, the storm showing no signs of letting up. John tried to make conversation, but Emma's responses were brief and distant. She seemed exhausted, her eyes half closed as she stared out the window. After what felt like an eternity, they finally reached a small, dimly lit gas station. John pulled up to the pump and turned to Emma. "I'm just going to fill up. Do you need anything from inside?" Emma shook her head. "No, I'm fine. Thank you." John nodded and stepped out of the car, bracing himself against the wind and rain. He filled the tank as quickly as he could, then hurried inside to pay. The attendant, an older man with a weathered face, eyed him curiously. "Rough night to be out," the attendant commented. "Tell me about it," John replied. "Picked up a stranded motorist a few miles back. Poor girl looked like she'd been out in the storm for hours." The attendant's eyes widened. "You picked up someone? On this road?" John frowned. "Yeah, why?" The attendant leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Son, there haven't been any cars on this road tonight. And you're the first person to come through here in hours." A chill ran down John's spine. "But I saw her. She's in my car right now." The attendant shook his head. "You might want to check again." Heart pounding, John rushed back to his car. He opened the door, his breath catching in his throat. The passenger seat was empty. Emma was gone, leaving only a puddle of rainwater where she had been sitting. Frantic, he looked around, calling her name. There was no sign of her anywhere. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Shaking, he returned to the gas station, where the attendant was waiting with a grave expression. "Years ago, a young woman named Emma died on this road," the attendant said quietly. "Her car broke down during a storm, just like tonight. She was hit by a passing truck and killed instantly. Ever since then, people have reported seeing her, trying to find her way home." John felt a cold dread settle in his chest. He had heard ghost stories before, but he never believed them. Now, he wasn't so sure. "But she was real. I talked to her." The attendant nodded. "She's real, all right. Just not in the way you think." John left the gas station in a daze, the storm still raging outside. As he drove away, he couldn't shake the feeling that Emma was still with him, watching from the shadows. He glanced in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see her face. But there was nothing. Just the darkness and the rain. Yet, deep down, John knew he would never forget the night he met the vanishing passenger. And he would never drive that road again, especially not on a stormy night.